Hare Krsna, everybody. So nice to be here in Radhadesh Dham after 10 years. 10 years ago I was here and I gave a very extended version of this Srila Prabhupada series. But during COVID, I was doing it on Zoom. So I was forced to condense it. Because how long can you look at a screen, right? In person, you can do more things. But I found actually people like this version better anyway, so I'm just continuing with it. And let's get it up first. You know how to... the remote. So the way we do it is, it runs for an hour and a half each session, and when you hear me speak and see the images, you're definitely going to have questions, maybe even doubts. You're going to have comments, but we do that at the end, during the Q&A, so I can just get through the journey, so to speak, the material. And then I try to leave ample time for Q&A, because that's when it all happens, when we churn it. So.
Could you put the microphone
A little closer?
Yes.
Speak
a little bit louder, please.
Yeah, plus my voice is compromised. As soon as I got here, I was challenged by it. Okay. That's better, huh? Okay. You don't want to be too close, right? Then you echo or whatever. So each lesson I tell a story to illustrate the points. And do you know what's going on? Does anybody know how to coordinate that?
You're getting the person who knows everything about the machine.
That's what he swore over a stack of Bhagavad Gitas, that he'd be here at 20 to 8, and lo and behold, he ain't here, and that's what happens. Do you know the remote? Who knows the remote? Gopinath, where are you, where are you? Oh, Gopinath. He's there. Yes, Gopinath Das. Can somebody go to the ashram and see?
Yeah, somebody went.
Okay, great. Okay, so maybe a little background until he shows up. I started doing this in 2012, and so I've been doing it for 12 years. At the request of none other than His Holiness Bhakti Taru Maharaj, who, as you know, was so founder Acharya centered in his preaching. So when I told him in 2011 that I had an idea, I told him this in Mayapur, that I had an idea that I wanted to help ISKCON's guru-disciple culture become more founder Acharya-centered. He said, "Oh, you must do it. You must do it." So he insisted. I mean, he practically, was beating me. So he was the driver, and then he was my cheerleader too, cheering me on. Do it. Okay, now, how do we get to the slide? It's up there. You know it. Okay. Patient. Okay, so for those who just came in, you're going to have questions, comments, doubts, challenges. I deliberately provoke the devotees in these lessons. So that they ask questions. Because some of the things here, it might seem like, a no-brainer, and the other things might seem like, what? What are you saying, Suresvara? What is this? So, just, make a mental note, or a digital note, or a physical note, and then when I ask for questions, fire away. What's going on? Oh, he just went to get a part or something? Okay, my name is Suresvara Das. I joined the Hare Krishna movement in July 1970 AD, or they say CE now, right? Common era. Many years ago. Srila Prabhupada initiated me in July 1971, Saturday, July 17th, in Detroit, Michigan, because that was the closest place to New Vrindavan where he was passing across America. And so he flew in on Friday the 16th, July 71. And then I was initiated in the second batch the following morning on the 17th. And the situation, protocol was that Prabhupada, he would chant on your beads. You've probably seen movies or pictures of Prabhupada chanting on people's beads. And then your name would be called. So Pradyumna Prabhu, the Sanskritist, said, Richard Hall. So I stood up and then I came before Srila Prabhupada. And as you've seen on the memories, it was just stunning. Just to kneel in front of Srila Prabhupada, it was stunning. And because what you were looking at, you couldn't fathom who you were looking at. It was like having a vision of something, from another dimension, which Prabhupada was. He came from higher plane. And at the same time, as the devotees say, he was looking right through me, right? Right through all the millions of lifetimes, and that's true. So, I could hardly breathe. I mean, this was such a stunning experience. There's no reference point for it. It's just like... So then, Prabhupada said, we're really eating into our time here. What happened to Gopinath? He went to get a part? Okay. Gopinath is here. Gopinath Das will be here shortly.
He came and left.
I know, I saw him. At least he got us this far. So Prabhupada said, what are the 4 rules? No intoxication, no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling. And Prabhupada didn't say this to me, so sometimes Prabhupada would say, so what is your favorite? What is your favorite sinful activity, right? Because Prabhupada knew we were born and raised on this stuff in the West, right? He said to my godbrother Kushakrata, the Sanskritist, he said that to Kushakrata, and Kushakrata just turned all colors of the rainbow and said, oh, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, that's all right. So, after he asked me the 4 rules, then he gave me my name. And this is the only face-to-face exchange. This is the only face-to-face exchange I ever had with Srila Prabhupada. But he gave me my name. Your name is Suresvara. It means controller of the demigods. It's a name for Brahma. You are Suresvara Das. He really drew out the Das because my name means controller, right? You are servant of the controller. So he took the beads. He had just been, he was holding the beads, and he saw I could not move. I was just, petrified, stupefied. So he took the beads, and he held them out in front of me. And he began to rattle them in front of my nose. Go on, take your beads, go on. Like, snap out of it, buddy, you know? So and then I kind of crawled away. And I said, what's my name? Yeah, that's how it was. Okay, I don't know what to do. What should we do? Have a kirtan. But we're just going to have to zip through this script. Now listen, I think I should just start reading. Okay, it's a narrative. Lesson 1 is called The Spiritual Masters, taken from, who recognizes that title? It's the title of one chapter in Srila Prabhupada's books. That's it. The spiritual plural. Very interesting, huh? Who was Kaviraj Goswami's initiating guru? Lord Nityananda. At the end of every chapter, he'd offered obeisances to his Shiksha gurus, Rupa Raghunath. But Lord Nityananda, so even though Kaviraj Goswami, he has, for his Diksha guru, someone in the category of Vishnu, Godhead. When he offers in the first verse of CC, he offers his respectful obeisances to his spiritual masters, Bande Gurun, plural. So that's a big theme of the first lesson. That we have many gurus. And the original guru is Krishna, or I could say Balaram, the original go-between. So, I told Gopinath, I said, Gopinath, this... Well, we wanted to get it to the slide.
That's the setting on your computer then, that's not...
No, he did it. Well, if you want to do this, I mean, that's what happened yesterday, and maybe it was being used.
It's never...
He just did something, boom, and it wasn't my computer. It was just a setting on the. I said, and you're not going to disappear, right, Gopinath? Because even though it's going well now, something always happens.
The image was one from your computer. There's no image of this. The picture of Krishna I showed it. It's coming from your computer.
Yeah, but it's.
That was your wallpaper.
That was the desktop.
Yeah, the desktop.
That was that wasn't the slide. Yeah.
It's on your laptop that you have.
Well, that's what I thought, but then he said no, and he did something with either the remote, must have been the remote, and then he said he'd be with me the whole time. Don't disappear, Gopinath. Oh no, I want to see it too. Gopinath. Okay, so if you want to. You know how to make an adjustment on the, maybe there isn't, we can adjust it from this too. So just go to settings. You want to do it, Shamanan? Okay, let's go to settings. Display.
Right now it actually is happening positive communication.
Oh, okay.
That is not.
So it is your problem. This.
Well, now it is, yes. Now that but previously it was definitely talking a second ago. The picture was from your computer.
Okay. That means this is really important because the material energy is trying to stop it. Maya isn't going to take this lesson lying down, right?
Okay, so your computer's now connected.
Okay. So display, that's system, right?
Because it's on a slide.
Oh, there's display.
Yes.
2. Let's go. Let's try that. No, extend these displays. Is that it? Extend these displays. Show only one. Extend these displays.
That's the one you want. First option. Then it shows exactly what the first option.
Duplicate these displays. That should be it.
Now we see exactly what's on your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Keep changes.
So now go back to your slideshow.
Yeah. All right. Slideshow.
It's there and then.
Yes. Haribo. Jai Shri Krishna. Maya is a pure devotee. She's not, as Nishinga Kavacha was saying about some of our Christian friends, she's not a competitor, she's a tester. So she knows I got a ways to go, so she's testing me, you know. All right, Hare Krishna. All right, we are time challenged. Suresvara Das is going to zip through this, but I'll try to speak as clearly as I can and make a note of those questions, comments, objections. All right. Here's the thing. I read my narrative, and then I have you folks read the slides, and he's supposed to have a mic too for the audience. But until that mic shows, I will have to read the slides, because you're always going to be hearing my voice. And we like variety, right? Right. Is it? He said he would. Is it charged? He said he would charge.
Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay. Stoka Krishna Prabhu, you read that title and subtitle.
Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, celebrating Srila Prabhupada's unique transcendental position in ISKCON, as well as every follower's foundational relationship with him.
There you have it. The aims of the seminar and its title and subtitle. All right, the year is 1972. In New Vrindavan, USA, it is Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja Day. As the sun climbs to the meridian, the thick mist shrouding the West Virginia foothills gives way to a spotless blue. Inside a hilltop pavilion, hundreds of devotees and guests, politicians, journalists, and academics among them, have gathered to observe the 76th anniversary of Prabhupada's birth. It is to the guests especially that Prabhupada directs his address. Let's take turns. You want to hand it to Yadurani Ma? There we go. Just read.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, those who are my students, they know what is this ceremony. Those who are visitors, for their information, I may inform you something about this ceremony. Otherwise, it may be misunderstood. An outsider may see it that way. Why a person is being worshipped like God? There may be some doubt.
Doubt, indeed. The 1960s and 70s have seen a spike in the number of opportunistic gurus coming to the West, streamlining Vedic revelation to suit modern tastes and reaping the profits. To establish trust, Prabhupada begins to demystify the guru by connecting him to other gurus in, quote, parampara. Okay? Is this too awkward to go back and forth? It's nice to take turns, but you're going to be the runner. We're going to put you to work, Prabhu. You can sit right in the middle and just, all right. Okay, you can read.
On the top of the mango tree there is a very ripened fruit, and that fruit has to be tasted. So if I drop the fruit from up, it will be lost. Therefore it is handed over after one, after. Then it comes down. So all Vedic process of knowledge is taking from the authority, and it comes down through disciplic succession.
Well aware of modern aversion to authority, Prabhupada then compares the guru to that venerable American pedestrian, the mailman. Give it to him. Yeah. Whoops.
Just like a bot, being comes and delivers you. say $100, so he's not delivering that $100. Your friend has sent you $100, and his business is to hand over that $100 as it is, without any change, without taking $1 from it, no, or adding. No addition, no subtraction. His honesty, his perfection is that he delivers you that $100 which is sent by your friend. He may be imperfect in so many other ways, but when he does his business perfectly, he is perfect. Similarly, when receive perfect,
We
No.
receive.
similarly, we receive perfect knowledge from Krishna through the agency of spiritual master.
Next section I call, thank you, Guru is one, Gurus are different. The Guru as God's mailman, down to earth, yet out of this world. In this sense, all genuine Gurus are one. Those Vyasa Puja guests who later read Prabhupada's teachings will learn how all genuine Gurus also differ. This is what I was talking about before we got techno straight. Okay. In the very first text of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, the definitive biography of Lord Krishna's golden avatar, Lord Chaitanya, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami begins by offering his respectful obeisances unto his many spiritual masters. Who's going to read?
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, His plenary portions, His energies, and the primeval Lord Himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya.
I think I goofed. Okay, let me just give you a little more. So, is this it? Yeah, okay, go ahead, keep reading.
He, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, used the plural here to indicate the disciplic succession. He offers obeisances not to his spiritual master alone, but to the whole parampara, the chain of disciplic succession, beginning with Lord Krishna himself.
Now, later in the CC's first chapter, text 35, Kaviraj Goswami offer his respects to, quote, my initiating spiritual master and all my instructing spiritual masters, unquote. Prabhupada comments.
A devotee must have only one initiating spiritual master because in the scriptures acceptance of more than one is always forbidden. There is no limit, however, to the number of instructing spiritual master one may accept. Generally, a spiritual master who constantly instructs a disciple in spiritual science becomes his initiating spiritual master later on.
So that last sentence indicates the natural, normative guru-disciple relationship sustainable over time. Although Prabhupada was uniquely empowered to spread Krishna consciousness worldwide within a few years, it is worth noting that he entrusted the thousands of disciples he was initiating to the care of his local leaders and senior devotees, his budding, instructing gurus. Now, decades on, to glimpse how his movement's guru-disciple culture can become more local and sustainable, the way he himself describes it, let's continue to examine Prabhupada's presentation of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita's foundational first chapter, The Spiritual Masters. So this is the first chapter of the CC. It's like a guided tour of Guru Tattva by courtesy of Kaviraj Goswami and Srila Prabhupada. So the next section of the narrative, I call it More About Initiating and Instructing Gurus. Prabhupada knew how to use his hands. He had these different mudras. Although their commitment to him is as green as their summer surroundings. Wait a minute. Okay, sorry, that was premature. Yeah, more about initiating and instructing gurus. In the years since Prabhupada's passing, the spotlight on the initiating spiritual master may have led members of his movement to believe that to initiate disciples requires more qualification than to instruct them. Who's going to read?
The initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna, although they have different dealings.
I was supposed to have said, see, I said that after Prabhupada disappeared from this world, the spotlight, the highlight on the Diksha Gurus may have led some of us to believe that it requires more qualification to initiate than to instruct. And I left out the line. In his comments to text 34, Prabhupada disagrees. So that's the disagreement with that misconception. Read it again.
The initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna, although they have very different dealings.
Unquote. In his comments to text 47, Prabhupada raises the point to a warning. Keep reading.
There is no difference between the shelter-giving Supreme Lord and the initiating, instructing spiritual masters. If one foolishly discriminates between them, he commits an offense in the discharge of devotional service.
It's actually offensive to think that they're different. I mean, they have different dealings, but that it requires more qualification to be a shiksha or a diksha. No, they're equal and identical manifestations. Now, let's balance that, lest we sail too close to the Ritvik misconception. Of course, the potential to have many instructing gurus doesn't cancel the requirement to accept initiation from a singular guru. For example, in the Nectar of Devotion, chapter 6, How to Discharge Devotional Service, Prabhupada identifies the first two principles of devotional service as, quote, accepting the shelter of the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, and, quote, becoming initiated by the spiritual master and learning how to discharge devotional service from him, unquote. In Prabhupada's movement today, initiating gurus may act like parents, and instructing gurus like well-wishing relatives. It's an extended family. Their relative influence, however, depends on how those relationships develop over time. Our parents are always our parents, yet sometimes we become closer with our relatives, especially if our parents are distant. I asked my godbrother, well, His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami, this is when he was still a brahmachari, and he was initiating. So I asked him, after I started doing this seminar, I asked him, I said, so when you initiate people, Prabhu, what do you tell them about yourself in relation to Srila Prabhupada? He said, oh, well, I tell them that Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. I tell them that I'm your initiating spiritual master. Srila Prabhupada's our foundational spiritual master, our founder Acharya. And since I won't necessarily be always accessible to you, my dear Diksha disciples, I heartily, strongly encourage you, wherever you are in the world, to establish healthy shiksha relationships with advanced devotees. Because he knows shiksha and diksha are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna. I'm not always going to be there. They're there where you are. And if they're living there and you're living there, they know what you're going through. They can observe you. They can give you practical, on-site advice. Now, even if you email me, I'm an academic. He said, I might not be able to get back to you right. I might be, on deadline to write a paper for a conference, or I might be in a conference or whatever. So I said, oh, thank you, that's very healthy. To not be possessive like that over your disciples. No, the disciples, we all belong to, in our line, Prabhupada's the founder Acharya. And of course, we all belong to Krishna. Okay. Our parents are always our parents, yet sometimes we become closer with our relatives, especially if our parents are distant. Nonetheless, if all are well-wishers, serving cooperatively within the founder Acharya's mission, harmony and spiritual progress prevail. Okay. And now, this is called the power of commitment. Heavy with spiritual knowledge, all genuine gurus are teachers. At the same time, their impact on our lives varies according to the depth of their commitment to us. Continuing his commentary to text 34, Prabhupada writes, whose turn is it? Okay.
Gurun is plural in number because anyone who gives spiritual instructions based on the revealed scriptures is accepted as a spiritual master. Although others give help in showing the way to beginners, the guru who first initiates one with the Mahamantra is to be known as the initiator. And the saints who give instructions for progressive advancement in Krishna consciousness are called instructing spiritual masters.
Notice the progressive commitment from introducing to initiating to instructing. Whoever instructs us the most is naturally more influential in our lives. As we noted above, quote, generally, a spiritual master who constantly instructs a disciple in spiritual science becomes his initiating spiritual master later on, unquote. Even if the guru doesn't say a word, the guru is always teaching, especially by example, the most powerful teacher. Quote, example is better than precept, and, quote, actions speak louder than words. One time my godbrother Vishnu Jan Swami was in Mayapur, and he said to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, I would love to take one of those boats, down the Ganga, and put into these little hamlets and enliven the villagers by chanting Hare Krsna and distributing prasad and speaking to them. But I don't speak the language. I don't speak Bengali. So Prabhupada just chuckled. He said, oh, they don't care what you say. They just want to see how you behave. Achar is more important than prachar. Example is better than precept. Actions speak louder than words. Okay. Now, back to our story. And I call this part, it's a quote from what Prabhupada said in this talk. By the way, you can see the whole talk on YouTube. Just type in 1972, Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja address, New Vrindavan. You can see the whole thing. Yeah, it's pretty dramatic. And this section is called, quote, so you, every one of you, become guru. I mean, he's telling this to recovering hippies. You know, we're the oldest devotee in 1972 in ISKCON was a six-year devotee. And he's telling us to become gurus, right? We're just trying to follow the regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna. For the devotees listening to Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja address, their appreciation of his unique position is increasing. Yeah, I was sitting right about where, I forgot your name. Oh, Dukunjavisi. Yes, I was trying to show you right about where you were in relation to Prabhupada. And it's like, we're like, wow, you know, Prabhupada is, and because he's speaking to the media, he's speaking to the New York Times, he's speaking to KDKA Pittsburgh radio, he's speaking to the local congressman. A lot of these VIPs came, you know. And so we're just in awe of how Prabhupada's presenting the guru to these doubting Thomases, you know, the people, because Prabhupada knows, they're thinking, why is he sitting on this big fancy seat, right? This crimson throne that the devotees have thrown up, you know, on the top of Bahulaban Hill at New Vrindavan. He knows that. So he's just trying to dismantle their doubts. For the devotees listening to Prabhupada's Vyasa Puja address, their appreciation of his unique position is increasing. Seated on a throne-like crimson dais, Prabhupada is a guru of gurus. Quote, a master at whose feet all masters sit. Although their commitment to him is as green as their summer surroundings. It's a beautiful view there on top of Bahulaban Hill. You can see it's summer. We say green in American English to mean like unripe, or you have that? Okay, you understand what it means. It doesn't mean the color, it just means, you know, rookie, fresh, neophyte. Although their commitment to him is as green as their summer surroundings, his commitment to them is timeless, and his ongoing request difficult for most of them to imagine. Quote, become guru. Okay. Oops. So, where are we? Whose turn is it? Is it the lady's turn? Uh-oh. Equal time?
Just read.
Hmm? Oh, she did. Okay, I goofed. Then thank you for the correction. We're going to have a vote. I don't know. You just read? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's right. Prabhu. All right, here we go. Can you do the Bengali?
Yaridi katarikaha Krishna upadesa amara agyana agyaya guruhanataras edesa.
Means?
Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as they are given in the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone in this land.
Yeah, no need to read the references. As recorded in the Bhaktivedanta Database, in hundreds of lectures, morning walks, room conversations, letters, and public and private events, Prabhupada cited the above verse as a reminder of the Lord's request. Become guru. From the beginning through the middle to the end of Prabhupada's global ministry, these reminders to his followers were relentless. Here are two examples. Okay, ladies? Yep. Okay.
I want that all my spiritual sons and daughters will inherit this title of Bhaktivedanta, so that the family transcendental diploma will continue through generations. Those possessing the title of Bhaktivedanta will be allowed to initiate disciples. Maybe by 1975, all of my disciples will be allowed to initiate and increase the numbers of the generations. That is my program.
That is my program. Here's the context for that quote. It's a famous quote, but maybe you don't know that what triggered the quote was Now, you see, he wrote this to Hansaduta in the beginning of 69. So at the end of 68, the fall of 68, finally, Prabhupada's Gita as it is was published, albeit in a very kind of heavily condensed version, the old purple Collier Macmillan paperback with a black Vishnu silhouette on the cover. That had just come out. And then also Teachings of Lord Chaitanya had just come out. So finally we had some books. Before those books came out, it was just, Swamiji. He was Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, Grandfather, Shiksha, Diksha, you name it. He was all rolled into one. Finally there were some books.
But when you went to America...
Wait a minute, this is a comment. So, yeah, I'll allow that. Yeah, he brought his Indian, Victorian English, Indian-produced Bhagavatams, yeah. But they had to be heavily edited. Okay, on Prabhupada's order. Okay, so there were books, and so Prabhupada, he's like, yes, he's like, okay. So he's envisioning degrees in the books, right? Bhakti Shastri, the 4 books that would come out later. Bhakti by Bhav, first 6 cantos of Bhagavatam, Bhakti Vedanta, second 6, Bhakti Sarvabhauma. This is Prabhupada knew. So he's just waxing ecstatic. And he wants us to all become proficient in the literature and live it, because Acharya is more important than Prachar, and become gurus, everybody. Okay. So, with that in mind, keep reading. Who read? Yeah, okay. Here's another one.
So every one of you can become guru. You may say that I'm not interested to become a guru, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that if you're not interested, that is not very good. You should be interested. You must be guru. That is success of your life.
Yeah, that's real humility, to become guru. Okay, and that was in Tehran. He told it to 3 householder couples, Treya Rishi and his wife, and Navayoga and his wife, and Dayananda and his wife. He was telling these householder couples, become guru. And the next section I call strictly follow. Prabhupada anticipated that some of his leading disciples, out of immaturity, might try to imitate his unique position as Jagat Guru, a universal teacher. At the same time, his relentless reminders to become genuine gurus indicate a greater concern. And what is that concern? That in their supreme esteem for their founder Acharya, his followers would not mature to become gurus in their own right and shelter others in Lord Chaitanya's mission. How then would Krishna's mercy reach every town and village, as the Vedic scriptures had foretold? And how would every sincere aspirant receive the personal care and guidance they would need to make the journey home, back to Godhead? In his writings, therefore, Prabhupada made it clear that the most important qualification to become a guru was to, quote, strictly follow, unquote, the instructions of Guru and Krishna. So here's an early evidence of that. Here we go. You want to read? Yeah. Go ahead.
A person who is liberated Acharya and Guru cannot commit any mistake, but there are persons who are less qualified or not liberated, but still can act as Guru and Acharya by strictly following the disciplic succession.
Okay, that's in an early letter to Janardhan, the first Janardhan from Montreal. And I should put this in the next version. There's another, because people say, well, that's just a letter, Prabhu, I only accept what's in the books. All of these manifestations of Prabhupada's instructions, they complement one another. So, in a Bhaktivedanta, okay, who has a phone? Who would like to look up immediately on your phone? 418.5. Here's in the purport. Or maybe it's time is, you want to do it? Look up 418.5. Of course, it's not the whole just a section of the purport, but Prabhupada makes the same point. He makes the same point in the purport. So, I'll tell you, during the Q&A, you can just read the relevant part of that purport. Okay. So, one need not be a superman or a superwoman to be a regular spiritual master. Liberated or non-liberated, a guru is genuine if he or she, quote, strictly follows the orders of Guru and Krishna. By Prabhupada's reckoning, his movement today likely has more local gurus than its own members recognize. I'm sure there are many gurus, Shiksha, Diksha, potential in this room that we recognize. They simply need, they, meaning these gurus unrecognized, they simply need to be formally approached for guidance and formally encouraged to give it. As Prabhupada told his disciples in Hawaii, quote, we require many millions of gurus. That was in a 21 May 76 lecture in Honolulu. Okay, we're going to wrap it up and we're going to do Q&A. Good, we zipped through that. See, if I don't digress and tell too many stories, then it's easy to do. All right. Pens scribbling, let's see. Okay. Pens scribbling, cameras rolling. His American guests listened to Prabhupada close his Vyasa Puja address. I mean, the New York Times was there. They did a nice write-up too. Prabhupada is he's just speaking to these, we call them influencers now, right? On social media. As he looks into their eyes, Prabhupada is concerned that they've correctly heard and understood his message. Who's going to read? Okay.
So, this is the position of a spiritual master. Don't misunderstand that. This person is sitting very comfortably and taking all honors and contribution. It is needed just to teach them how to respect the representative of God. This is the sum and substance of Vyasa Puja. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Srila Prabhupada, for caring enough to come and rescue us. So here's how we do the Q&A. I put on the screen, the last slide is always the title of the lesson / learning outcomes. So we're going to have Gopinath Prabhu read the learning outcomes. And I put these up here because there's a tendency during Q&A to want to ask about anything and everything. But let's just ask in terms of these learning out. Let's keep it relevant to the lesson. Read.
Lesson 1, the spiritual master's learning outcomes. By now we should be able to explain how Srila Prabhupada demystified the Guru by connecting him to other Gurus in Parampara. Explain how Gurus are one and different from each other. Explain why we may misunderstand an initiating spiritual master to be superior to an instructing spiritual master. Explain why Srila Prabhupada wanted all his followers to become Gurus. Explain how even non-liberated devotees can act as Gurus. Explain the real meaning of Vyasa Puja that Srila Prabhupada gave at the end of the narrative.
And I'll just read there's a transition to this evening's lesson too. I'll just read that so you know how they kind of fit together. Transition. All Vaishnava guru-disciple relationships thrive under the shelter of the founder Acharya, the foundational spiritual master of a disciplic branch. In the next lesson, we'll examine the origin, history, and characteristics of the founder Acharya principle, with a focus on our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. Okay, thank you for being so patient. And I'll just raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. Okay, I saw your hand first. That's how I do it. I just call on whoever I see first. Bhagavati Ma.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, you were saying near the end how everywhere that, like even here, there should be many spiritual masters. And so I was wondering, so then an instructing spiritual master, is that then basically not different from, for instance, a mentor? Isn't a mentor then also an instructing spiritual master? Because we have mentors everywhere. Well,
yes,
we should.
Yes, but sometimes we use the word Shiksha Guru rather loosely. Oh yeah, I see Maharaj on the net, or I see Mataji in the net. She's my Shiksha Guru. But it's not so casual. I mean, it can be, but to really be serious and sincere, as Prabhupada would use that, he would use those adjectives together a lot, serious and sincere. There should be some submission. In other words, if I accept you as a Shiksha Guru, I should really be prepared to do what you advise me to do. And for you to accept me as a Shiksha disciple, you have to see that we have some spiritual chemistry here. This is a person I can actually, it's worth the time, my time, to accept this person as a Shiksha disciple.
But then that is basically the mentor-mentee relationship. There is a commitment. There is certain respect there.
Yes, it's not a joke. It's not like, as Prabhupada would say, don't keep a guru as a pet, or a disciple as a pet. Hey, I got quite a disciple here. This disciple is going to increase my prestige because I have such a disciple. Or I have such a guru. He's famous, right? He's a superstar. Everybody knows this person, and I'm going to take initiation from this person because then it will enhance. The guru or the disciple can become an extension of our false ego, which is pitiful, which is pathetic. It's got nothing to do. We're trying to get rid of these egos that are keeping in this material world. But for more on Shiksha, the best, if you've seen, if you ever have heard His Holiness Bhanu Swami speak, he just, let's see, on August 6th, we're at September, what's the 27th today, okay. So less than 2 months ago, he was in the manor, and he gave, I've heard him speak about Shiksha and Diksha before, but he really, this is the best, most organized presentation. And I have a link to it, unless you just go to the manor website. I think you can find it there, but I also have a link. And if you want to, in my email, if you want to make a note, I'm an email guy. My name is Suresvara, so it's SURESV, as in Victor, ARA, @gmail.com. I can send you the link. And he really, and this is really good because he makes it clear, Shiksha and Diksha, the roles, and he makes it clear that Prabhupada's position is the foundational Shiksha. He's everyone's, foundational guru. So, okay, I think we'll just leave it at that for that. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'm not sure. There was a tie there. I'll defer to my godbrother.
So my question, several questions, is if we preach, can we call ourselves then instructive spiritual masters. But then, Srila Prabhupada clearly said, try to become a spiritual master. So if our actions are not in correspondence with what we speak, can we call ourselves then spiritual masters?
On some level. And Prabhupada talks in, I think in NOI, Upadeshamrita, about Kanishta, Madhyam, and we'll only be as effective as we are free of material desires. We're not, what to say? Yeah, that's what I have to say. We'll only be as effective as we are free from material desires and following Srila Prabhupada's instructions.
And because Srila Prabhupada is Acharya, he's the perfect example.
With a capital A. He wants us all to be Acharyas with a small a.
Yeah, which doesn't mean that we are already spiritual masters. So as long as I don't have the qualities, and Srila Prabhupada is the master, I'm a student. As long as I'm not a master, that's the question. Am I then a spiritual master?
Yes, Prabhupada, he would refer to, you're going to see this in succeeding lessons too, so I'll give you the short answer. There's a difference. There are gurus and there are gurus. There are acharyas and there are acharyas. So you're going to see this right away in the next lesson. So this is like an incentive to come again, even though it's hard. It's the end of the day, and you know. So where was I going with this? Okay. So in Easy Journey to Other Planets, in his purport, I forget which, 12 or 13, he refers to monitor gurus. Sometimes Prabhupada used the phrase, you're going to hear, usually regular gurus. And there's a difference between regular gurus and great acharyas. And there's also, he used the phrase, monitor gurus. He also used the term ordinary gurus. It sounds contradictory. How can a guru be ordinary? Well, he meant, you'll see, that's coming up later. But monitor guru, he was talking about when a teacher has students in a class, and then there's advanced students, and then he has the advanced students teach the less advanced students, and he calls them monitor gurus. So, yeah, there's gurus and there's gurus, but the more we develop those 26 qualities of a pure devotee, and the more we allow Prabhupada to uncover Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kavanoi, you know, pure devotional, pure love for Krishna is eternally established in the heart of the living entity. It's not obtained from another source. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karye Hudoi. When the pure love for Krishna is awakened by hearing and chanting, pure love naturally awakens. This is Sanatana Shiksha. So, we are pure devotees, pure lovers, pure gurus, but we're unripe. That's another image. There's the unripe mango, and then the getting riper, and then the pure sweet mango. So yeah, we owe it to ourselves and each other to become serious and sincere and try to preach Krishna consciousness to the level of our realization. I think we'll just, before we go to another question, I think we'll let other people, because our time is limited, but we'll come back to you, Prabhu, if there's... Okay, Prabhu, go ahead.
You mentioned that the instructing spiritual master should be formally encouraged to give instructions. So, where is that formal instruction? Formal encouragement?
That should come from people who are in authority. You know, we all have authorities, right? We should be encouraged. It should descend. It shouldn't be that I have to lobby to canvass to become a guru. Right? There's something wrong there. If somebody's canvassing, lobbying to become a guru, what's that? That's like personal ambition. But it should be that a superior or a senior should ask a junior, Prabhu, you're very, you're following Srila Prabhupada, and you're learned, and you could give shelter. You set a good example. Would you take up this service? It could be asking the person to be shiksha or diksha. Would you please not hoard your Krishna consciousness? Would you share it with others? We need more. We need you to share the wealth. And the French have that saying, and noblesse oblige. Any French? This is the Ardennes, come on. Noblesse oblige, to whom much is given. If you're given a lot, you're part of the nobility. You have an obligation. Noblesse oblige. You have an obligation to share it. You don't hoard it. So it should descend from people in authority. That's how it comes. Okay.
On this same point, because many times it happens that the university ask you you want to be my guru.
Excuse me, say it again.
Many times, usually it's the other way around. Instead of the authorities asking you, the disciple or the neophytes, they ask you to become their guru. I find it always a bit.
Yes, and what do you tell them? Well, I'm a lady, and the glass ceiling. It's still somehow or other we don't. I mean, that's a whole other seminar, right? BDG, FDG, and all this stuff. So, but let's just keep it on, gender neutral. Say you're sharing Krishna consciousness in your local area, and then and you're attracting people. Say you're at a college campus. I'm thinking of a particular situation, and the students start getting attracted. They start coming, and then they get so serious. Somebody gets so serious, they start practicing. And then they get so serious, somebody gets so serious, they want to go to Bhajana Kriya and they want to take initiation. But what if you say, well, I don't do that, But I'll tell you what, we'll fly somebody in. We'll fly him in. A superstar. We'll fly him in. And you meet him, and then he'll give you a name, and give you beads, and then he'll fly away. And you might never see him again. You might not see him again. You might not even be able to write him a letter. He's got so many disciples. You might even forget the name he gave you. But you're initiated. That's a kind of violence. Because by Chris's arrangement, that student, in this case, has become attracted to Krishna, to Prabhupada and Krishna, through you. You've got the relationship with the student. He wants to, generally, the one who gives the most shiksha becomes the initiating guru later on. That was right in the lesson. That's what Prabhupada said. That's why I said it's the natural, normative relationship. Yeah.
What does it mean, normative?
Normal. It's normal. I mean, it can happen the other way too. Some people like it that they want to be distant from their gurus. So because they don't want the guru into their business. They don't want the guru to see what they're doing necessarily. Historically, it's a very local relationship. In days of yore, in the Vedic times, there's a village sadhu, and then they become attracted, and they start hearing, and then then they formalize it, diksha. So that's just generally the one who gives the most instructions become the diksha guru later on. Okay, I sent some.
Yeah,
You got the mic?
I want to ask, why are there, I think, none of, or maybe one, initiating female gurus in ISKCON? Why they are not there?
Why don't you ask your GBC? I'm not going to get in between you and Hridai. I'm not going to do it. I don't go there. As much as people ask me to do that, I don't do that. No, not just poor Hridai Prabhu. He's only one among many. But it's, yeah.
No,
we're
certainly if we not are the body, the body is just a vehicle. We are just a soul, and we're not even feminine and masculine. Then you would say everybody can be initiating guru. And I saw many female instructors who are very capable to become a guru, even in ISKCON.
not even in ISKCON, especially in ISKCON.
Especially in ISKCON, but also outside. Maybe every mother is a initiating guru. So.
Look, maybe you ought to ask one of our advanced Vaishnavis here to make a seminar about that.
I hear that they once tried it and that it was withheld in India, that they didn't give permission.
There's a whole, Anyway, that's, as you may or may not know, in 2019 there was a resolution. It was called a culturally sensitive resolution. But some folks far away said, no, this is not a cultural issue, this is a philosophical issue. Well, guess what? It's not. All right, you want me to go there? I'm going to tell you one thing that even the die-hard anti-VBG, they can't even say B, they have to say F, right, to put us straight on the bodily platform, right? They can never answer this. June 18th, 1976, Prabhupada is asked point blank, by Professor Joseph T. O'Connell, one of the great, the late great, unfortunately passed away not long ago, one of the great friends in academia, in the academy of our movement, wrote great appreciation for Prabhupada's books. He said, because I didn't know this, but when you read the transcript, you can read it. June 18, 1976, room conversation. There's many things, there's morning walk, there's room. So anyway, Joe O'Connell asked Prabhupada, can a woman become a guru? And I didn't know that Professor O'Connell's wife was a professor too. Oh no, excuse me. Yeah, that came out earlier in the conversation. Yeah. Or but I had forgotten. So Prabhupada to answer, here's how he answered. Just like if someone is qualified to be a professor, just like his wife, she was in the room too. Perhaps Professor O'Connell asked for her benefit just to see what Prabhupada would say, if he was going to show his traditional Vedic face, or if he was going to show his contemporary, modern face. There are many aspects to Prabhupada, and he applied those different aspects perfectly according to the time, the country, and the candidate. So Prabhupada said, just like if someone wants to be a professor at your University of Toronto, do they ask, if she's a man or a woman? No, they want to see her qualification. They want to see her PhD, her field of expertise. They want to see her evaluations. They want to see what people said about her. Is there any bar? Prabhupada said to her becoming professor. No, she can become professor. And then he quoted Mahaprabhu to bring it down to Shastra. Kiva Vipra kene noi. Ye Krishna Tattva Veta, say Guru hoy. Whether you're a Vipra, very learned, or a Nyasi, renunciate, Shudra, even if you're in Shudra, because he was with Ramananda Roy, who was a Kayasta, which is kind of a clerical thing. Shudra position externally, although he's super intimate with Mahaprabhu. Ye Krishna Tattva, if you know the science of Krishna, say you can become a guru. So he quoted that. Okay, enough of that, because we can get lost in the current VDG. It's still not resolved. Because the larger issue is Guru Tattva. VDG is only a piece of Guru Tattva. Guru Tattva is not settled Siddhanta in ISKCON. How to apply Guru Tattva is not settled Siddhanta in ISKCON at the highest levels of leadership. Unfortunately. Okay. Although if you do go to Bhanu Swami's class on August 6th in the Manor, it was an evening class. You get a pretty good picture of how to apply Guru Tattva in ISKCON from Maharaj, quoting Prabhupada a lot. Yeah. He's the best I've seen at how to apply Guru Tattva in ISKCON since my great godbrother Gopi Pranadana Prabhu passed away in September 2011. Yeah. Okay, 9:02. So breakfast is served, but I understand they do serve breakfast for an hour. So don't worry, there's plenty of breakfast. I'm the greatest prasadam bhakta myself. Or if your service calls, please. Okay, we can go to 9:15 if you want. Yes, any more? Let's just drop VDG for now and let's get into the outcomes.
Maybe it is a little bit opposite, but I always understand that we have to develop this dasa, anudasa mood. And it's very different than thinking, oh, I have to become a guru. It's like contradictories to me somehow.
You're going to see in lesson 9, it's my favorite lesson. It's called Fictional Prabhupads. Make-believe, illusory, false Prabhupads. You'll see, it sounds weird, huh? But at the end, the last thing we hear in the lesson is Prabhupada in Radha Damodar temple giving Nectar Devotion Series lectures. Describe the mood of a true guru. Oh, and it's just what you say. It's just what you say. And it's the way Prabhupada expresses it, it's practically inconceivable. But if, we could have avoided a lot of heartache in ISKCON, but it had to happen. I think we had to learn the hard way in the 1980s. But we're still kind of suffering, We need, the whole point of this seminar series is to help ISKCON culture become more founder Acharya centered. Not Diksha centered or Shiksha centered, or Ritvik centered or whatever, there's so many permutations, combinations. It's founder Acharya centered. Yeah, so you'll see that very dramatically at the end of lesson 9. Yeah. Okay.
So is that then the mood of the Siksha guru to direct them to Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah, that's if we're worth the name, spiritual master. That's one of the main functions. They even have a whole shastra about this in the Ramanuja Sampradaya. In the Ramanuja Sampradaya, Ramanuja, who's their founder Acharya. Anybody ever been to Sri Rangam or? Anyway, and how long? When did Ramanuja appear? Does anybody know the AD? 1017. 2017 marked the millennial of the Ramanujis. In 96 we had Prabhupada's centennial, and look what we've been through in ISKCON, for 50, 60 years. They've been around for 1,000 years. And they get it. If you ask any self-respecting Ramanuji today who he or she is, and I got this from Bhaktivinoda Swami, who's a South Indian person who initiates, and so he said, yes, Suresvara, if you ask any Ramanuji today, who are you? And he will say, Adiyan Ramanuja Dasan. I am your servant, a servant of Ramanuja. Ramanuja was 1,000 years ago. But whose books do they study? Ramanuja's books. Whose Murti do they worship? Ramanuja's Murti. Whose mission do they prosecute? Ramanuja's Vishishta Dvaita mission. Who do we worship every day? Srila Prabhupada. Whose books do we study? Prabhupada's. We should be. Every morning, right? Every evening, Whose mission, whose ISKCON mission do we prosecute? Prabhupada's ISKCON mission. We should note these. They get it. Same with the Madhvas too. I lived in and around Udupi for off and on for a couple of years. They're Madhvites. We're Prabhupada Anugas. Yes. And if our Shiksha and Diksha gurus are enriching, enhancing, and deepening that relationship with Srila Prabhupada, we love those Shiksha and Diksha gurus. We're not minimizing them by worshipping Prabhupada as our foundational guru and our core identity. No, because they bring us closer to Prabhupada. We love them even more. Yeah. So, one thing I remind people during this series is that, okay, I've come to town, and I got one god sister here, I got a god brother here. Anybody else initiated, direct disciples of Prabhupada? Is that it?
We have Jayabhadra living in the college.
Who?
Jayabhadra.
Jayabhadra, oh right. Yeah, is she here?
Yeah,
I haven't seen her. Get on her case, tell her to come. Yeah, okay. Huh?
She's surely online.
Okay, Jayabhadra, we love that you're online, but we'd like to see you too. Vapa was also important. So when I tell people, okay, so I'm initiated by Prabhupada on Saturday, July 17, 1971 in Detroit, Michigan, and he said, take your beads, and he rattled my beads in front of my nose. That's not my identity, that I'm Prabhupada's initiated disciple. That's not my identity. My identity is that I'm his instructed follower. What makes me a Prabhupada disciple, and if you trace the root of disciple, it means learner, somebody who's learning. If you trace, that's what makes me a Prabhupada person, is that he lives forever by his divine instructions, and the follower lives with him. Of course, before the deity and the guru and the sacred fire and the Vaishnavas, it's a samskar, it's a rite of passage. It's very important, but it goes deeper than that. And the most intimate way we associate with Prabhupada, as you'll see in another lesson, is through Vani. That's more intimate. So we're all, as you know, especially in Radhadesh, Vani. Vanipedia, yay! Jai Vishnumurti Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So we all have we all share that identity as instructed followers of Prabhupada. Different generations, right? Prabhupada is the center, and then different generations coming out from that, around and around and around. And if we keep it, it's the next 10,000 years. But if we don't keep that identity, then it just becomes another bunch of fighting factions. It's just another Kali Yuga religion, right? It's the age of quarrel. You're going to see this in lesson 8. To love is to cooperate. And that's no small thing, to cooperate in the age of non-cooperation. Quarrel and hypocrisy. Yeah. Okay. So, are the hunger pangs winning now? Oh, you had a question or a comment.
My question is, does a Diksha Guru need a Shiksha Guru? And if yes, can a non-initiating Shiksha Guru be a Shiksha Guru to a Diksha Guru?
Boy, I'm really challenged. Could you say that again? Slowly.
I can ask this tonight.
Say it again.
So, does a Diksha Guru, who is officially appointed or approved, need a Shiksha Guru himself? And can a non-initiating person, Shiksha Guru, instruct a Diksha Guru?
Sure. Because Shiksha and Diksha are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna. One's not. That's why I said in the narrative that because Kaviraj Goswami and Srila Prabhupada say that. But because of ISKCON's history, I think the question has arisen because of ISKCON's history. We tend to think of people who initiate as more qualified than people who instruct. Categorically. It's not a categorical thing. Of course, people are always on different levels of Diksha and Shiksha. But categorically, sure, everybody. And I mean, even Srila Prabhupada, he would, amongst his godbrothers, he would point out that Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, he considered him to be a Shiksha Guru, which some people misunderstood later to mean that now that I don't like what's going on in ISKCON, after Prabhupada left, I can just go off to Sridhar Maharaj and he can be the new Prabhupada for me. No, that's not. That's a misapplication of that. But Prabhupada did respect Sridhar Maharaj for being very advanced, philosophically, and so, yeah, of course. And in fact, if anybody, Shiksha or Diksha, thinks that nobody can instruct me, wow, is that a red flag? That means that's a person who has problems, and those problems will manifest. That kind of mentality is the beginning of the end, if I think like that. Right? Nobody can tell me. I know better. I know better, and nobody can tell me anything. I mean, I meet people all the time. I mean, I've been in the Hare Krishna movement for 54 years. I meet people all the time who are very, they're more advanced than I'll ever be, and they're new. Because they're not new. They're probably just finishing up, and this is maybe my first rodeo, my first time, So, yeah, we have to, everybody, Niranjan Swami said this recently. He said, everybody needs somebody they can go to open up their mind and heart, because we all have problems. We all have. If we're honest, we're all struggling. Yeah, we really need friends. Therefore, guhyamakyati pritchati, reveal one's mind in confidence, inquire confidentially. Yeah, we need that. We need each other. At the end of the day, what do we have? We have each other. So, okay, it's just about time. So please come, as much as you can. Come, it's the founder Acharya principle. We're going to, actually all these lessons, not all of them, but half of them anyway, they're history lessons. And then we apply them more and more, the history. So the founder Acharya principle. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, good question. Right here at 5:30, I have to, let's be here at 5:25 to set it up. Okay. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. process to become a devotee. It's a process. I mean, we're all kind of gurus, in a broad way. But to actually be in a serious sense, you have to. There's a process to enter into Krishna consciousness. So it's important. Yeah. Prabhupada said that. Anyway, thank you.
Kijk maar, mama. Het is van de flowers, hè, denk ik. Oké.
No, it's not